competition. Bowling fans, how about a great send-off for the PWBA Lubbock Sports Open Round 1 qualifying. Thank you and good luck, bowlers.
All right, folks, welcome to Extra Frame. You're watching live coverage of the 2015 PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. We just got underway here. Game 1 of 6 on this first qualifying block here this morning. We'll have 2 blocks, 12 total games to determine the top 16 for tomorrow's match play. So thank you for joining us. This is Matt Canizaro making my Extra Frame debut today here in Lubbock, Texas. So thank you for joining us. Sit tight and enjoy some terrific women's bowling. The full PWBA tour kicked off last week in Sacramento. We'll have details on that event, as well as all the what's what here in Lubbock for week number 2. We are behind lanes 17, 18, 19, and 20 here at South Plains Lanes in Lubbock, Texas. You see here on lane 18, shooting at the 7-pin, 2014 USBC Queens champion, Maria Jose Rodriguez. Joining her, stepping up on lane 17, Allie Ijams. Last week's runner-up, Christina Wendell. And Team USA member, Brianna Caldwell. On our other featured pair, Kyoko McDonald. 2011 Queens champion, Missy Parkin. Carrie Smith. And former NCAA collegiate standout at Sam Houston State, Nishka Cardona. So 8 talented players here. Looks like most pairs have 4. Some pairs with 3 here. And all the details can be found at PWBA.com. Go to pwba.com/live. Get you all the information for today. Live scoring is well available. So if you have a favorite player as they move throughout the house, you can keep up with them. Thanks to our friends at Brunswick. getting settled in here, checking out the social media, getting notification out to the world via Facebook and Twitter. Remember to find us on Facebook. Right now, updating the PWBA, Professional Women's Bowling Association page. Check that out. Remember to like that page so you can stay in tune with all that's happening out here on the PWBA Tour. Of course, a lot of excitement about women's bowling being back. And a short hiatus from 2003 until this summer. USBC and BPAA bringing the ladies tour back in business. Things kicked off in May with the USBC Queens. That was in Green Bay. That event won by USBC Hall of Famer Liz Johnson. And then things really got going last week at Sacramento. Complete schedule available at pwba.com. PWBA Storm Sacramento Open, won by Alicia Current. And now here we are, PWBA Lubbock Sports Open at South Plains Lanes. Thank you for joining us. Coverage throughout the summer with Lucas Wiseman. He's off at Junior Gold this week, so I get to step in and watch the best ladies in the world compete here. On my way home from El Paso, Texas, the USBC Open Championships just concluded, so why not stop and check out the PWBA Tour on the way home. All right, again, this is the first of 6 qualifying games here on today's opening round. Then we'll have a short break and come back for round number 2 this afternoon, after which the top 16 players will be determined for tomorrow's round-robin match play, and that will be followed by the stepladder final. So a lot of excitement here for South Plains Lanes this weekend, and we'll have it all for you live here on Extra Frame. Stepping up on lane 18 here again, last week's tournament leader, Christina Wendell. She fell in the championship match to Alicia Current. But a very nice start to the tour season. Her first strike here in Lubbock. Following her, Allie Ijams is perfect so far through 3 frames. Full field here, very talented players, and great opportunity for so many. Again, the last version of the PWBA Tour ceased operations in 2003, and there were a lot of ladies with their careers cut short at that point. Some on the verge of graduation, thinking that they were going to head out there and be professional bowlers. And some just dreaming about the opportunity someday down the road. And then it was time to start thinking about real life and real jobs and wondering if the tour would make its way back, and here it is. So a great mix of talent here on the tour. Some of those experienced Hall of Fame veterans making their way back out. Carolyn Doran-Ballard, Anne-Marie Dugan. I think at each stop we'll see a variety. Tish Johnson out here as well. Of course, dozens of titles for her out there back in her day. Still all contenders for sure. And then the next generation, the Deandra Asbadis, Stephanie Johnsons, all on their way out of college when things ended. Kelly Kulik just getting started out on the tour back in 2003. They're all back out here, and of course the latest generation of college graduates. Brianna Caldwell not too long out of college, Central Missouri. Allie Ijams just got done, and here they are living the dream. If you love bowling, this is a great weekend to be home and online. We're live here in Lubbock. Lucas Wiseman and Aaron Smith on the road in the Chicago area for Junior Gold. They're live on Bowl TV right now, so feel free to jump back and forth and check out the youngsters all battling for spots on Team USA. Great shot there by Christina Wendell, picking up the 4-9. IJM still perfect through 4. On our other featured pair, Cardona, 4 out of 5. Again, Junior Team USA being determined this week in the Chicago area. Aaron and Lucas working hard on Bowl TV, and here we are. Remember to find us on social media. PWBA page on Facebook. A lot of great information there shared throughout the week, not just during the events. So the tour life is real. Traveling from stop to stop now. Players most getting into town yesterday. Practice session. Some media coverage. Terrific response here in Lubbock and Sacramento last week. We're having the ladies in town and ladies bowling back. Practice session this morning from 8 to 9, and now here we are with the first of 2 rounds of qualifying. So a lot jam-packed into just a couple of days. And then we'll have 16 games of round-robin match play tomorrow, followed by the stepladder final. Complete details and schedule available on pwba.com. And the design of the schedule initially with the thought in mind that most of the players have regular jobs, but they still want them to be able to come out and compete. So even if they don't get out here until late Thursday night after work or Friday morning, they still have the opportunity to get a practice session in and then full qualifying. very generous prize funds as well. The top 32 will cash. Top 16 advance to match play, earning a minimum of $1,300. And then 17 through 32 all will take home $1,200. So for a $300 or so investment for PWBA members, it's a pretty nice return for essentially 1 day's worth of work. And of course, you can't put a price on the experience that you'll gain out here going against the best. Shot there by Caldwell for the double. Kerry Smith on lane 19, clean through 5. And just as I say that, the old 810. Things a little bit different here on Extra Frame, no chat room. So right now, the one-man show. This is Matt Cannizzaro bringing you live action from South Plains Lanes here in Lubbock, Texas. Feel free to reach out. You can find me on Facebook, Matt Cannizzaro USBC, or on Twitter at USBC Matt. Also, our official Twitter account at USBC. And of course, here we are at the PWBA Lubbock Sports Open, so don't forget to find PWBA on Twitter as well. At PWBA Tour is where you'll find us. Send a shout out to one of my favorite left-handers out there, Chris Hester. Tuning in here on this Friday afternoon. No doubt hard at work, but also watching a little bowling. So thank you, Christopher, for joining us today. Appreciate the hard work and the shout out. Reaching out on Facebook. Game 1 of 6 rolling on here. Missy Parkin stringing strikes here in the opener. She's working on a 5-bagger after a pair of spares. She's going to step up here in a minute on lane 20. If you missed any of last week's coverage from Sacramento, you missed a terrific event. Christina Wendell led the whole way, only to fall in an exciting championship match with Alicia Currents. Current taking home $12,000 for the win. Stepladder last week. In the opening match, Missy Parker defeated Rocio Restrepo 216 to 202. Rocio finished 4th for $3,500. And then Current defeated Parkin. Match number 2, 248-233. Missy finished 3rd, took home $4,500. And then, of course, Wendell and Current faced off, with Current coming out on top, 246-194. $12,000 to her, $6,000 to Christina for the runner-up finish. Take a peek at the live scoring here. Got a 40-lane center. All the lanes going, looks like, except for maybe 1 and 2 down on the far end. We're behind 17 through 20 here. And live scoring is up and running. So if you have a favorite player, that's the place to find it again. PWBA.com/live will get you there. Lane pattern this week, 40-foot PWBA Lubbock Sports Open pattern. It has some tendencies a little bit similar to the WTBA Athens pattern. Same length, similar shape. Certainly a nice bridge between top women's bowling and, of course, international competition. The bank of lane conditions available through the WTBA, being used this week at Junior Gold in Chicago. And always good to challenge yourself on these sport bowling lane conditions. We got a lot of good questions coming in here as far as what the lane condition is, how many lanes they're skipping. And as soon as we get those details, lane pattern we just talked about, but as soon as we figure out the lane skip, we'll get that to you as well. Appreciate everybody stopping by. You're watching the opening round of live coverage from PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. Right now, Missy Parkin rolling out to a big start here on lanes 19 and 20. She got the first one in the 10th. Another one here puts her in the 270s. Aisha Cardona at Sam Houston State. Opens in the 10th, finishes with 2:05. Last week's leader, Christina Wendell, struggling here in the opening game. Just a couple of strikes on the board, and she already picked the 4-9 up one time this game. Let's see if she can do it again here in the 10th. Parkin one more time. And Wendell unable to convert, so she'll be at 145 here to start. So Parkin finishes with 279, Cardona 205, Carrie Smith, rough finish, 157. And now Kyoko McDonald is going to wrap things up here. She's working on a double, stepping up in the 10th, max score 225. On our other pair, Maria Jose Rodriguez, 2014 USBC Queens champ, 228. And now iJams and Caldwell will step up and wrap things up. IGM's the fast start and has slowed down a little bit here. She can strike on the field for 202. Caldwell still trying to find her momentum. But A lot of games of qualifying. The Bull 6, take a break, and Bull 6 more. All right, so Caldwell 165, iJams 6 on the fill 198. Donald 191 with the open in the 10th.
I wrapped the washout with the first one, and then I left like the 6 washout with a 6 pin, and I got the 10 with the 6. Come on. That was
Just like that, 1 of 6 already in the books.
Try some more.
Go to 24.
Where are you going next?
And players moving everywhere. We can figure out how far they're going. I'm sure that will help most of you follow them on the live scoring. All right, so getting ready for game 2 here. And the new group of players headed this way. Left-hander Ashley Rucker. She's always fun to watch, very talented player. We'll have those names for you here in just a moment. All right, folks, as we get settled in here for game number 2, They're working on the scoring system. Obviously, you can see that the names aren't necessarily matching up with what's on the back of these players' shirts. So we'll do our best to figure out who's who, and that's the cool part about being out here is there's an opportunity for the veterans to prove they've still got it, and for the up-and-comers to make names for themselves here. And of course the in-betweeners now finally getting their chance to shine on the big stage. So once we get settled here with who's who, we'll have all the details for you right now. Elise Bolton, that's an easy one. Former Junior Team USA member stepping up there on lane 18, also a collegiate national champion. And on lane 17, Tania Falbo had a shining collegiate career as well. Over on our other featured pair, 19 and 20, recently married, Nicole DePaul Miller. And senior player, Lil Johnson. All these names getting very familiar to us now that we are really underway, getting rolling here with the PWBA season. And right now, we are fortunate to be joined by the PWBA Director of Operations, formerly known as the Bowling Guy, now just known as Jason Thomas. So welcome.
I don't know how fortunate we are, but thank you. Nice to be here.
So we've got every possible window open here on the computer, and just questions and information rolling in via Facebook, Twitter. No chat room, but they're finding a way to find us. So very cool to see all the interest and the excitement. Of course, a terrific start or continuation, I guess, to the PWBA season last week with the Storm Sacramento Open.
Yeah, it was a great week last week. Probably couldn't have asked for a much better start to the tour. We had, as we may have reported, you've probably seen it in a few places, Steve Cook, who owned the center and was the host of the event, said it's the most people that he's ever had in his bowling center in 25 years. So people turned out for it. Media turned out. We had some really great local media. Good Morning Sacramento came by, and some of the girls did some trick shots, which were amazing. And really just couldn't have been much better. And the momentum's carried over to entries. We had to make an announcement this week that we'll be opening up the fields for following this week's event, the next 4, so we can accommodate more players. Some slight changes to the schedule to do that, so that we don't have to start pro-ams later on Friday night. But man, it just couldn't be going any better right now, Matt.
Well, certainly great to hear that, and I know there's a little bit of wonder, I guess, when the announcement was made, and who would be able to make it out, and would they be able to do it full time, but just with real life getting in the way. Of course, a lot of the players of yesteryear went on to find careers doing other things, and a lot of players coming through college with every expectation on joining the real world and the workforce, and now this opportunity, and it's a 3-year commitment from BPAA and USBC to keep this thing going, and of course, without the support, I think there would be some questions at the end of that run, but so far, an unbelievable turnout and so much interest. And I guess you could probably talk a little bit more about membership with the PWBA and what those numbers are looking like as things catch on here.
Well, I mean, first, people remember kind of what was going on at the end of the PWBA, where they were getting 20 entries to show up to the tournaments, and it was just kind of a sad situation. And so when we announced that we'd be bringing the PWBA back, a lot of people said, well, you're not going to have that many ladies show up, so why are you guaranteeing 32 spots? And what's going to happen if only 33 people show up? And Chad Murphy, who, along with Frank DeSocio, was absolutely instrumental in getting the funding commitment to launch the tour, said, if 33 people show up, we're going to pay 32. So that was a very, to me, and I think to a lot of people, powerful statement, because it showed that we were going to make that commitment no matter how many people showed up. We're going to pay this many spots. And so in the back of my mind, I kind of figured, look, there's no way we're only going to get 33 people to show up. You'd think, paying as many spots as we are, we're going to get 60-plus players to show up. I didn't think we'd get 103 like we got in Sacramento, but man, after going to the ITCs and seeing how many great collegiate players there are now, I was a little bit surprised. I didn't realize that there was this much demand and this many great young women bowlers who wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to compete. And now that we've got it, we've got a little bit of a supply issue, which is awesome. It's a great problem to have.
Well, you did mention the great collegiate players, and school's out, so the timing of this really is pretty spectacular. Just some things kind of ending, school year ending, the big events. It all fits in together. It's just kind of a nonstop for these ladies. They were able to hit the USBC Women's Championships in Reno, the USBC Mix. A lot of them stopped by to visit us in El Paso at the USBC Open Championships, and of course the Queens in May.
Yeah.
And the Senior Queens, kind of all working together. A lot of other events nearby, and they're staying very busy out there on the lanes and making a lot of appearances, and it's really great to see. And again, for the parents out here, the kids are out of school too, so they can make the trips and kind of make a vacation of it. I heard a lot of talk yesterday about fifth wheels and motorhomes, and it's the tour life, and it's real.
Well, that was also another thing that some people were wondering about when we announced what the formats of the tournaments would be and how the schedule would work. People were wondering, how come you didn't do the competition on Saturday and Sunday, kind of like they do on regionals? And if you think about it, and it worked to perfection in Sacramento, if we had ended the tournaments at Saturday night on Sunday night, and the ladies had to travel home to get back to work, they wouldn't have been getting home till Monday anyway. So they would have lost the day the next week, and they would have had less time to prepare for the next week's stop. So the other thing that's really great about that is that we're putting pro-ams on Friday nights typically. I mean, we have some places where we're going to do additional pro-ams, but the main pro-am is Friday night. And a Friday night pro-am is awesome because people can have a great time. Friday night, their week is over. They can stay as late as they want, have a great time. They can wake up, as late as they want on Saturday typically, and it just the format just seems to be working out perfectly. I even when I first came on the project thought, well, maybe we should think about doing some competition on Sunday. And, we stayed the course and stuck with the original schedule. And I think it's just working out perfectly.
Well, let's talk a little bit about ladies bowling. I mean, we're just looking up and down the house here. You mentioned, the great membership options and how many are taking advantage of that. And, of course, the discounted entry fee that comes with that. But just looking up and down the concourse, there's not a lot of players that we're not familiar with. And people talk about women's bowling disappeared there for a while, kind of officially as a tour, but with collegiate bowling growing as it has, and of course NCAA bowling and the Queens and the U.S. Women's Open, and a lot of the players challenging themselves even in PBA events and other places, we are familiar with so many of these players. It's unbelievable. I figured, that maybe they would come out from all over, but they've been here the whole time, which is really cool to see that they're all in one place now.
Yeah. I mean, this year the focus is really on getting entries in the events, Matt. We want to get these fields full, which we were able to accomplish. We don't deserve all the credit for that. The players deserve a lot of credit for supporting the tour and understanding the importance of entering these events, and then. Our goal was to get these tournaments filled up and create some excitement and buzz about women's bowling. And if you have full tournaments, then the people in the community are going to say, hey, what's going on here? Why is this place full of these, athletic, beautiful young women bowling tournaments, and also incredibly talented at the sport? So if you have that and you get people showing up and you get the media to show up and talk about it in the paper, then sponsors start to take notice and say, hey, what's going on at this bowling center? Why is it packed? Why is it full? Maybe I should be involved with this. Maybe I should be sponsoring an event. And then, if that starts to fill up, then you talk about moving on to the national level and having television shows and getting national sponsors involved. And, that's kind of the plan is we want to start small and focus on the little things that we can control. Make it a great experience for the women coming out bowling the events. Make sure they have a great time. Make sure that we're doing everything we can to accommodate them as customers. But at the end of the day, we're all part of the same team. And if we can get this momentum going in the right way, we've got a chance to make this into something really big. So it's pretty exciting.
Well, being that this is my first dabble here in the PWBA Tour and Extra Frame and the whole deal. Of course, I've been covering the Queens for the last 10 years and get to see these players on a regular basis at a variety of events. But the buzz and the teamwork that you mentioned here in the bowling center, not only from the community, which is very supportive, this bowling center in particular, South Plains Lanes, a terrific host, but the players all very excited and supportive. Doing everything they can to generate some interest and get folks to come out, family members traveling with them, just talking up the tour. Social media, of course, has changed the world and the way we look at things, and perhaps if that was around back in 2003, things would have been a little different. But you mentioned sponsorship dollars, and of course all coverage being brought to you here on Extra Frame, and including the championship rounds. And you guys did a great job last week and kind of TVing up the production a little bit, and we see that with the PBA as well, throwing in some Extra Frame finals. We saw that in this very bowling center not too long ago. The PBA Extra Frame Lubbock Sports Southwest Open, presented by Storm. Not only the longest event name in tournament or in PBA history.
I don't know about that, but
it
is
terrific
long.
event, won by EJ Tackett right here. So again, the Lubbock community, we saw it here on site in the tournament office, filled with bowling balls, where the local bowlers get to store their equipment in there. And it was packed at a full house doubles league last night. So the little town here of Lubbock, Texas, a very big bowling community.
Yeah, absolutely. Jimbo Evans, the proprietor here, got involved in the process very early and said we absolutely want to have an event. And it worked out perfectly with the geography of the schedule, where we needed a place to go to between Sacramento and the Midwest, where we were going to have a lot of events here in the summer later. I was familiar with the events that he's run in the past, and knew that the PBA players spoke highly of this venue as a host. And it's so far so good this week. The staff here has been fantastic. They know what they're doing, running an event, which takes a lot of pressure off of us, and they treat the ladies world class. And that's a huge part, as I mentioned before, of our goal here this first year. Is we want to make sure that anyone who bowls a PWBA event has a world-class experience from a customer service standpoint. So the host here has been able to provide that, and beyond. And it also happened in Sacramento as well. They did a fantastic job of hosting. So, we've got some good hosts, and I know there's one host here this week that's kind of scouting out for his event, Jerry Kessler from Topeka. And so I know that event's going to be great. And I know Wichita is going to be great because we've got the Socios hosting it. So, we're looking good. It's exciting.
Well, this definitely feels like a tour. There's signage everywhere. When I walked in yesterday, again, the media was out to talk to PWBA spokesperson Kelly Kulik and last week's winner, Alicia Current. And just a great response there. And just hanging up signage and putting up banners. And, it has that feel to it. And for the players as well, the big PBA truck is outside, and they're drilling bowling balls. They're doing all the service. They can ship their equipment from stop to stop for, part of their membership fee, and just all around, it's a professional environment, and certainly you all should be commended too for putting it all together and making it work so well.
Well, it's obviously we've had a lot of help. You can't do these things without a lot of help from a lot of people. But as I mentioned, momentum is going in a good direction right now. And all we really have to do is just kind of step aside and let it all happen. Make sure that we're staying ahead of any issues that come up, and deal with them as quickly and as decisively as we can in a way that is going to make people feel like we did it the right way. And if we do that, then we can focus on the positives. If you're constantly making mistakes and having to deal with mistakes all the time, you don't have any time to focus on the bigger things that you want to do to help the thing grow. So the goal is we want to handle those mistakes and those potential issues as quickly as we can, so that we can move forward in a positive direction and focus on the things that we need to be doing, which are selling more sponsorships and looking into possible opportunities for television and getting hosts booked for next season well in advance, so that people have time to promote their pro-ams and get the place excited. Hey, in a year the PWBA is going to be here. Isn't it going to be awesome? And get that going earlier, so that when we do show up, it's bigger and better.
Well, right now we're into Game 2 of the PWBA.
Yeah, we haven't talked much bowling so far this game, have
Lubbock
we?
Sports Open, and things going smoothly. So for you guys, just seeing everything working as well right now, and the folks at home settled in, watching this great live coverage. This is Matt Canizaro alongside the PWBA Director of Operations, Jason Thomas, and 8 more great players here.
I'll tell you, this Tania Falbo is one of the more impressive young players that I wasn't aware of before the tour started, and man, she is pretty impressive. Made the finals last week in Sacramento.
And you
Missy
can read
Parkin.
about all of our players here on PWBA.com, a great one-stop spot for all the details. Schedule on there, but all these top members represented.
I didn't mean to step on you there. I just noticed that we got our score update for Game 1. And score is a little higher this week. Missy Parkin, 279 first game. And 16th place after Game 1. It's actually a tie for 15th, a 3-way tie at +9. It took a 210 average last week to make the top 16 finals. I would expect the scores to be slightly higher this week. I don't think they're going to be huge, but I think they're going to be slightly higher. So I would imagine 215 or 220, somewhere in that range would be, the average required to make finals. We've got a 40-foot pattern here this week. Last week we had 44, and the players were forced to play a lot deeper from the start. And this week, I think there are a lot more angles that are available that you can play, which should make the scores a little bit higher.
Well, we talked about the pattern earlier being very similar to the WTBA Athens. And I know the way bowling has gone, everybody wants to know what's the name of the pattern, and that way they can relate to how to play it and get an idea of how they might have experienced it previously. But right now, the 40-foot PWBA Lubbock Sports Open pattern is what we're calling it now.
That's what it is.
It's going to be a thing. But definitely some good scores to start. Again, full field here, and things going well. Actually expanding the field as other events fill up too. What's the total entries this week?
We had 76 going in and 2 withdrew, so we have 74. Maximum field size here was 80.
All right, so terrific support here in this second week of the journey. And 32 checks. I think that's the part that a lot of the players are very excited about, just looking at it. It's depending on the size of the event, it could be a 1 and 2 even to get a prize check. So it's very enticing to go out there and say if you finish in the top half of the field or just outside of that, you got a real shot at making some money here. And it's not little money either. For your $300 entry fee, you're looking at a $1,200 payday for making the top 32.
Right.
and then you can even travel home if you need to. The top 16 come back for round robin match play.
Right.
And the money goes up from there. So, nice way to quadruple your money, really, just having a really good day.
I think the way the tour players look at it is that they basically are almost guaranteed a check every week. The top tour players, and then my expenses are basically paid for the week, and then I've got a chance to win the 10,000 on top. I've got 10 chances to win that. So I think that's the way they kind of look at it. And if we do happen to have field sizes that will exceed 96, we'll add additional cash spots. So it always stays 1 and 3 will be the worst that would ever pay off.
All right. Well, last week, Alicia Curran taking home $12,000 for her win over Christina Wendell. Wendell took home a little bit less than that. And right now, these players here in our featured pairs, 17 through 20, trying to get a share of that. The prize fund this week looks like $10,000 on top. It's kind of the standard prize fund, and of course could deviate based on entries, I would think. Again, 74 total players this week right now. You're looking at Elise Bolton and Brandy Bronca, Taylor Evans, and of course USBC Hall of Famer Linda Barnes. She was kind of on the fence a little bit about coming out on tour and doing the thing. She retired from Team USA a while back, focused on the family. Twins at home. They're just about teenagers now and growing up. And here's Linda stepping up on lane 20, still as good as ever. Keeps in great bowling shape. And
Linda is always threatening to retire. It's funny, but then she gets the bug and she comes back out, and she usually she'll come back out and win or contend for the U.S. Open title or something, and then she'll go back to, I don't think I want to do this anymore. She's got strike spare 6-bagger this game, so and she's excited. She just came back and said, "Did you see how I slapped that 10-pin out?"
So a little bit energized here with her and Chris both signing with 900 Global and getting some new balls and some new equipment to work on, and I think that always helps.
Well, I think Chris, there was an adjustment period, and he had a little bit of struggles, but then he won that event in Japan, and he's had some success with the new equipment since then. It took Linda, I think, a little longer because she didn't have as many events to bowl. Chris had the fortune of being able to bowl in a lot of events and get some reps in with that equipment and understand it a little quicker. And Linda just hasn't had a lot of tournaments to bowl. She signed right before Team USA trials and had a rough week there. And then bowled our event last week in Sacramento, where she's one of the hometown favorites, and did okay. She got a check, but not up to her standards. And then she got to do some booth time for the stepladder finals. And whenever you do booth time, it reminds you of how much you'd rather be out on the lanes. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see her have a big week this week, and she's already off to a good start here today.
Well, if any of these Hall of Famers would like some booth time, I'd be more than happy to step aside and let them do their thing. They are all very knowledgeable and experienced about the tour life and what it takes to succeed, and it's really great to see some of those players back out here as well. Tish Johnson, CDB, Carolyn Doran Ballard, of course. Liz Johnson picking up the big win at the Queens and going into the USBC Hall of Fame, and she is far from done with her career. So great to see that they've all still got it, and they're here to see this thing through and to show the newcomers the way.
And Tish was actually the last PWBA player to win here in Lubbock. The last time the PWBA was in Lubbock, Tish took home the title. So that's an interesting story to watch as we go on this week. And Linda with another strike for a 7-bagger. I think it'll be a lot easier to get people in the booth this week, Matt, because Lucas is much more intimidating than you are. So, people, when Lucas is in the booth, man, it's intimidating.
I understand, and I certainly welcome the company. I appreciate you stepping in. Jason Thomas, Director of Operations here at PWBA, and you guys have a lot of traveling ahead of you.
We do. Lucas is actually in Junior Gold this week and covering that event. It's the only event in bowling that's more full than this one. 3,100 kids bowling that event, and then they've got some TV shows that are going to be taped today that you'll get to watch on CBS Sports Network coming up here in the next few weeks. So that should be pretty exciting. The first time Junior Gold's ever been televised. But yeah, we do have quite a bit of travel coming up, don't we? We've got basically 10 straight weeks this summer. Schedule's available on PWBA.com. The only event where our staff will not be attending would be the Striking Against Breast Cancer mixed doubles event, which is in Houston, which is run by Donna Connor, who does a fantastic job. Has been running that event for many years, and it's been full since February. We thought we were doing a good job filling up events. Her event's been full since February. So, yeah, 10 straight weeks of bowling for these ladies. It's going to be interesting. And a lot of, the other thing that's interesting is they're not used to touring. They're used to bowling an event and then having a few months or weeks off and going back and kind of back to the drawing board and figuring things out. A tour is completely different. You get on a bad run, you go 4 or 5 weeks without a check, and it's fairly depressing. So it'll be interesting to see how some of the younger players deal with those kinds of runs.
Well, some great money out here for them to win. Again, you can find all the details at pwba.com. Schedule, prize fund, live scoring, you name it, it's there. Great shot there by Nicole DePaul Miller. And right now we're watching the end of game number 2. Is our first round of qualifying here at the PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. Game 1 scores already up on the website. You can check that out. Missy Parkin jumping out to an early lead with 279 in the opener right here on our featured pair, followed by Jazzy Tan, 256, Deandra Beatty.
What a cool name that is. I wish my name was Jazzy Tan.
Well, it can be. I don't know that she would like it.
Yeah, I don't know if my wife would like it very much. I'd have to get a tan. That would,
Well, perhaps that would be the irony of the whole thing.
Maybe I should be like Jazzy White Guy or something.
You're pretty jazzy.
I am.
So roll it on here in game number 2. Final scores: Ashley Rucker 184, and Brandy Bronca's going to finish things up here. Strike will give her 191. Nicole DePaul Miller 169. Lil Johnson a matching 169. Linda Barnes and Taylor Evans both on strings here heading into the 10th.
Yeah, from what I heard yesterday during the practice session, the ladies felt like there was a lot of score available early, and then they started to get tricky after a game or two. It's hard to tell when you're in practice session because you're not really tracking, how many games you've bowled. But that's what they said. They said you could get some scores early on this, and I'm sure you'll be able to get scores later as well. But they felt like the trick would be handling the transition in games, probably middle parts of the block, 2 through 5, maybe 3 and 4.
It looks like most of the players starting here in the track area, the 8, 10, 12 range.
Yeah, it's the ladies typically like to play there. Even sometimes when the pattern's a little shorter, they tend to like to play a little left of that, and then when the pattern's a little longer, they tend to like to play a little right of maybe where you might see the men play. And usually that makes the lanes break down a lot more friendly than they do for the men. A lot of times I've seen at the U.S. Open where the scores on the women's side of the event, where they're bowling on the same pattern, are actually a lot of times higher than the men, just because of the way the women break the lanes down. So it's but a 40-foot pattern, I think, is a great pattern for showing versatility, allowing a lot of different styles to play. the TFC pattern was always that 40-foot pattern on tour, and it was always a great pattern for allowing players to play a lot of different angles and a lot of different styles to still be able to compete. It's the pattern Kelly Kulick won the Tournament of Champions on, so I wouldn't be surprised to see her bowl well this week, although you're never surprised to see Kelly bowl well.
Well, Linda Barnes certainly likes it, finishing with 257 here in Game 2, gets her to plus 59 through 2 games. Taylor Evans having a good time on this pair as well, 232 with the big finish. She had a bit of a rough start here, a little bit of nerves, I'm sure, but getting settled in and making a nice comeback there. She started with 147, so nice effort there with the 232.
Yeah, it happens. You don't want to start 147, but that's the nice thing about a 12-game qualifying format. You can make that ground up, and the scores aren't going to be so ridiculously high that you can't. Last week, for example, Alicia Current was 15 under after the first block, and it took 122 over to make the cut, and she shot 175 over the second block, and everybody was talking about how brutal the lanes were. She averaged almost 230 for that second block, so there was some score out there, and then she ended up winning the tournament. So, that I think that's the mark of a good pattern. If you throw it well, you're rewarded, and you make all the moves. But if you don't, you get penalized, and I think that's the right way to measure whether the pattern is a good pattern or not. You don't want to reward people for a bad shot.
You just described sport bowling. That's what it is. And
exactly.
You want to go out there, make great shots, make your spares. And I think that as the days go on here, the players are very smart. They'll learn things. They'll work on things in between blocks even, and go out there, talk with all the experts in town. A lot of great industry support here. So the ball reps in town, really treating this like the real deal, and helping the players out with their equipment selections, and just answering any questions. And I think they of course are focused on their staff players, but willing to help anybody. Just want to see people succeed, want to see women's bowling succeed. And right now, we've seen 2 games of success here. So having a great time here so far through the first early part of block number 1 here. Again, 12 games. I know there was some chatter about last week going from 6 games to 5 and possibly down the road. And I feel like the players are very excited about getting the value for their dollar, and just so many qualifying games and so many chances out there to make something happen.
Yeah, it's something we've talked about quite a bit, internally. And last week I spent a lot of time talking to the players about, hey, how did you like the format? Was it too many games? Was it not enough games? Should we, try to open up the fields even more and go to less games so we can get more people, in the tournaments? And I got a lot of really good feedback from the ladies, and it's stuff that we can talk about as we go, so we can give the players the product that they want. But I think it's a great format. It's plenty of games to determine a true champion. It's a grueling 2 days of bowling. The ladies before the step ladder last week, you could tell they were beat up and dragging a little bit, but then you turn the lights on for that step ladder, and you got Rocio pumping her fists, and they bowled great. Alicia bowled a couple of 240 plus games on a really demanding condition to win, and I think it's the right amount of games, and I think that the players will get used to it. They're not used to bowling this many games this many weeks in a row, and it's just like when you play high school basketball or baseball, you've had the whole summer off, you got to get back in shape, and I think as the season wears on, these players are going to find that bowling 28 games is no problem. They're going to want to bowl more games probably.
Well, again, for most of them, it's a dream come true or a dream revisited, and the support is fantastic, and they're working hard. You can see via social media throughout the week practicing, and there's a lot of them already talking about making travel arrangements for the U.S. Women's Open, which is Labor Day weekend. So,
yeah,
they're talking to each other through the players' Facebook page and arranging for rides from the airport and roommates, and this is real, and they're taking every advantage of it.
It is definitely real. I personally been averaging about 4 hours of sleep for the last month or so, so it's definitely real to me. but it's so fun to see, the response that we're getting in the local markets. It's really fun to see how happy the ladies are to have the opportunity to do this. It's really fun. So it just motivates you, to do whatever you can so you're not messing it up for them. That's what it's all about.
Well, the funny part about all that is that when you joined USBC with us, you came on and you thought you were just going to make some videos.
Right. I thought I was done with the pro tour thing.
And here you are, the director of operations, Jason Jazzy Thomas.
No, it was a surprise. I mean, when I started at USBC last year, that was what I was expecting to do, just doing video stuff, and I was excited about that. And that was, a big factor in my decision to leave the PBA was I wanted to be able to work on stuff like that actually touched league bowlers and, a wider piece of the bowling community. But then 2 weeks later, they announced that the PWBA was coming back.
Well, I will tell the world that you do get to do those things. I saw you. I walked in while you were looking at some bowling academy stuff.
Yeah.
So while we're waiting on our featured player to get here and everybody to move across the house here with this wacky lane moving schedule, you do have the opportunity and tell the folks at home about the bowling academy. Perhaps they will learn something and be the next group to join us out here in the PWBA Tour.
Yeah, I mean, the bowling academy is a great thing. Several years back, Matt Lawson, who was my predecessor at the USBC, worked with a group called TN Marketing, and they were just basically shooting all kinds of great instructional content featuring gold coaches and staffers at USBC in the coaching department, Rod Ross and Kim Terrell-Kearney, the Team USA head and assistant head coaches, and they just created this giant library of video content, and it was being pushed out as a DVD series. And so right before I came to USBC, they added some different ways that you could access that content, either via download on your computer or live streaming or streaming it. And so it allowed people, while they were out on the lanes in their bowling center, to just pull up, video and get tips right there while they're out there bowling. And it has grown incredibly rapidly. When I started, we had just launched it, which was in September of 14. And last month we just passed 10,000 subscribers for the premium channel, so it's been fantastic. And we just trying to keep the pipeline full with new content. We're working on lining up gold coaches for more content. We're actually talking about doing a special PWBA series that we're going to work on this summer while the tour events are going. So that'll be really cool. And it's just a great program if you're interested in improving your bowling game. There's a massive amount of content available that really you can find something for your game. All you got to do is look.
Well, certainly great reviews, and the numbers speak for themselves, so keep up the hard work, and glad you're getting the most out of your 20 hours a day that you're awake and contributing so well to the bowling world. Folks, definitely check all that coverage out, the Bowling Academy, and endless coverage here, of course, of the PWBA Tour. Wire-to-wire coverage of every event. Most of it brought to you by Lucas Wiseman this week. Special guests, I am Matt Cannizzaro. Stepping in, Lucas Wiseman and Aaron Smith out at Junior Gold in the Chicago area. So it's all teamwork. That's what we do here. And Jason Thomas just mentioned the potential for some more travel down the road, perhaps, as this thing really gets going. And every day is a learning process, it sounds like, and taking feedback from the players, which is the most important thing. And bowlers definitely not shy about sharing feedback. So
no,
that helps determine the direction things will go down the road.
No, it's been great. I mean, we've made a very conscious effort from the beginning to that we want to know that criticism. We want to hear it because, as Ben Franklin once said, your critics are your best friends. They tell you how to get better. So yeah, we absolutely want it. We obviously with the players we've been trying to channel that any criticism directly to us, so that it's handled internally, and that we aren't hurting the momentum by saying negative things about the PWBA in social media or other places. And I'll tell you, I've seen very few critical comments on what's happened so far with the PWBA. So it's been really great, which is amazing considering all the details that have to come together to make something like this happen. So it's been awesome. So hopefully we can keep the momentum going.
Well, in talking to some of these players about this opportunity, especially the young ones, Liz Culkin, Aaron McCarthy, I kind of laughed when they mentioned that they had never seen women's bowling on TV in the tour sense. Of course, the USBC Queens and US Women's Open have been on TV regularly over the past decade, but the PWBA Tour, the only place they had seen it happen was on YouTube. They had to go back and look at old videos and really see how the ladies bowling world worked back then.
And that was cool because they made the first show at the Queens.
So they almost didn't know what to dream of as young bowlers, because
it was starting to get to that point. Yeah, right.
But coming out of the NCAA bowling program, growing so rapidly since 2003 even, and now here they are.
Like Alicia Curran's a perfect example. I mean, she's one of the players. She actually graduated high school the year that it folded. So she was like, what the heck? What am I going to do? I wanted to be a pro bowler. And for her to win the first event, it was very appropriate because she was a poster child for the group of ladies that it affected the most. It basically took away her career. It took away her dream. And, that stuff it's brutal to have to deal with. I mean, I remember when I was at the first World Series of Bowling, and we had the women's series that the PBA put on for a couple of years, and just talking to those ladies about what it did to them was devastating. It was just, we were in there interviewing them all day, and my partner and I that was running the camera, we were in tears all day long, just listening to these stories, and to be able to be a part of it coming back. It's really deeply spiritually meaningful. It has that big of an impact on you to be able to, do things that allow people to live their dreams, because that's what life's all about,
Well, as somebody who is getting to live your dream here,
at some point I probably dreamed about this. It was probably a little later in my life than because I wanted to be a pro bowler myself when I was growing up. But, sometimes your dreams change, and luckily for me, at least my dream now is related to what it was when I was younger. It may not be exactly the same, but, gaining respect for the sport of bowling was always something that was important to me and that I wanted to work on for the rest of my life. And, luckily I've been able to find a different way to do that.
Well, we're talking about the respect in the sport of bowling and the global reach here. We have a lot of international players on the PWBA Tour as well. Some of the familiar names, of course, you mentioned Rocio Restrepo made the show last week from Colombia. Clara Guerrero out here as well. And the Singapore bowlers, Sherry Tan, Jazzy Tan. A lot of them come over and bowl collegiately. Wichita State, of course, a very successful collegiate program known for having talented international players. Weber International really is international.
Yes, it is.
And a lot
of
those
appropriate
players
name for the school.
Spending time coming out on tour and traveling in groups as teams, and pretty cool to see that that they're making their way over. And again, the timing, having them all back to back, perhaps filling those days in between a little bit challenging. But I look forward to talking to some of the players and seeing what it's like driving from one stop to the other and just living the life.
I'll tell you, I just saw Carolyn Doran Ballard throw a shot there. And, we saw her at the Queens, and she started off really well at the Queens and then kind of faded, and to me just didn't look healthy, or it didn't look like she was Carolyn Doran-Ballard that you're used to seeing. I'll tell you, I just saw her throw that shot right there, and that was about as good as I've seen her throw it since she won 7 titles that year. She's been working on her game, and we're going to watch her closely this game because she just threw that one like the 25-year-old Carolyn Doran-Ballard.
Well, I think one of the things, too, is that when this was announced, a lot of players waited to see what the momentum was going to be like, before they made their decision. Am I going to join? Am I going to plan to bowl the whole schedule? Some of them, again, with other jobs, they bowl what's close. And I think for Carolyn and Tish and Linda Barnes and Anne-Marie, just to see the early interest, and it motivates them, no doubt. You mentioned Carolyn working very hard at being ready for this. They're taking it very seriously. They want to prove that they've still got it. Kelly Kulick had it taken away from her. She was in her, I don't want to say in her prime, but she was at the start of her really great career. Liz Johnson, I would say, was well on her way, and it was just taken away. It just ended one day, and they, of course, chased the dream a little bit with the PBA, finding success there regionally, and Kelly with the Tournament of Champions win and traveling the world, doing this all the time. But for Carolyn, she went on and had a variety of other jobs. Most recently was the director of coaching at USBC. But they haven't disappeared. We see them once a year at some of the bigger events, at the Women's Championships, and now they want to prove they've still got it, and they're working very hard to be out here.
Well, that's a huge piece of the story as well, Matt. The women for 13 years had only 2 events really to compete in, and so there was basically nothing. I mean, I know when you say nothing, it offends people because there were people trying to put things on, like Tom Clark at the PBA trying to put the women's series together and get that going, and he also did some things when he was at USBC to promote women's bowling. But in the women's mind, there was just very little to bowl, and so when that happens to you, you have to almost think out of the box and figure out a way to still do what you love doing. And Liz and Kelly and Clara, also you got to throw her in there too. They did things that people didn't think were possible back when there was a tour. Back when there was a tour in the 90s, nobody thought it was possible for a woman to win a PBA event. And because it went away, we got to find out that it really was possible. Kelly showed us, she proved it to us that it could be done. And it just shows the power of the human will to do things. If you put your mind to something that you can accomplish. It'd be very, very interesting experiment to see what would happen if the women's golf tour were to go away. I think within 10 years you'd have a woman winning a PGA Tour event because, you take something away from a group and they figure out a way to succeed. And the nice thing about that is that I think without Kelly Kulick, you probably wouldn't have had all these young ladies pushing to continue to want to be better at the sport of bowling. And she's almost like the Arnold Palmer of this tour, alongside Liz and Clara. And now that it's here, she's got to fight off all these girls and young ladies that she inspired. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Well, Kelly, of course, the official PWBA spokesperson, and doing a great job. So far, I've been to 2 of the 3 stops, and I've seen her on TV at both of those. We went actually to the TV station at the USBC Queens in Green Bay.
Yeah.
And the TV stations came out yesterday, did a nice little piece last night on the event and the tour coming back, and what it's like for Kelly and Alicia Current, who, again, you mentioned she was just going into college at the time the tour folded and had that dream taken away. She had a successful career collegiately and now is out here as well. A star-studded couple of pairs here right now. We're behind lanes 17 through 20. We mentioned CDB, Carolyn Dorn Ballard. We've got Sherry Tan, international star. Kelly Kulik, our spokesperson, of course, now stepping up on lane 20. Former Team USA member, junior Team USA member, Kim Eulis, Ashley Galante. Very familiar names. So if you're talking about, star power and, recognizable faces, there's tons of them out here.
Yeah.
And I know I heard some of the different ball companies talking about how to utilize that and get the autograph cards out and go to the pro-ams. And I think the ladies, I always said if there was ever going to be a ladies tour, just in my time working, with the men and the women, covering the events, it's so much more fun. And working with the ladies, and they're so approachable and helpful, and not that the guys aren't, but I think it's just it's a different mindset out here, and it's just so much fun, and you see that at the pro-ams, and a lot of interaction, and I don't spend a lot of time around the PBA events only because I'd really rather be out there bowling. So it would be hard to work at the PBA, I think, knowing that I'd like to be on the lanes from week to week, but here it's a little bit different. The feel is different, knowing that obviously I can't bowl with them, and but it's so nice being here just as they walk by and chat and just see the interaction. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it's just different. I mean, the men are in a way probably how the women were, in the last days of the PWBA, because for a long time it's been a struggle just to keep the sport of bowling going at the professional level, because the world has changed so much, and because TV is so expensive, and there have been lots of changes that had to be made. And when you grow up with this perception that you're going to have something, and then when you finally are old enough to get your turn, it's changing or it's different, it kind of breeds sometimes negativity. And the thing that's nice about this is that it's a completely fresh start, and we're able to build it, the way that we think that it needs to be built. We don't have to rely on old business models to make it work, so we can. And then the other thing too is that we have a great partnership with the PBA. So, if these events are successful, and the goal for us is obviously getting entries and making them successful in the local markets. And if we're able to do that and we get ready for the next step so we can grow it, then we can work with the PBA on the things that they do well, which are TV and sponsorship and those kinds of things. And and then perhaps we can help them go to markets where they'll get a lot of fan support, and because we've been there and we've kind of primed those markets for the PBA. So I think there's a great future for both organizations, and we've already started working together, and that's something that hasn't happened in a long time. I know there's always been a relationship there, and the PBA has worked with the USBC on a number of things, and we've done the Masters together, but the relationship is starting to blossom into something bigger and better, which it can only help both organizations.
Well, and you're seeing that actually live right here on Extra Frame, which is the PBA's live streaming channel, and
exactly
perfect example there. And I get my opportunity to make my Extra Frame debut today, and it's
You've never been a guest on Extra Frame
I've
before
never.
Today? Wow.
I really did shy away from those events. And,
okay.
I was at the Masters a couple times just for work purposes, and always felt like the itch would be too much to be that close and not be able to bowl. And
interesting.
So
I didn't realize that. Well, congratulations. We've you've got your first experience here on Extra Frame.
Well, it's surprisingly similar to Bowl TV, but but maybe a little bit different, minus the Extra Frame guys, the personalities. But I feel like I kind of have that. That's where you came from. So I feel like it's the perfect transition.
Yeah, I'm easing you in.
So Mike Jakubowski reached out earlier just to say hi and good luck,
cool.
and He, of course, is one of the voices of Extra Frame, so
He's the voice.
very cool
The voice
to
of
have that
Extra Frame.
support. Mike J.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, my buddy. We up until this year where I bowled with Jeff Goodger, he was my doubles partner at Nationals. We cashed. I think every year we bowled together, we cashed for. It was like $30, but we cashed.
Hey, that counts.
Yeah. And then Jeff Goodger and we're trying to figure out a place where we can hook up to spend the 30 that we cashed for this year. So yeah.
Certainly has been a great few months for bowling, of course. A lot of opportunities out there outside of the PWBA Tour and the PBA Tour. And for a lot of these ladies, we mentioned starting things off at the USBC Queens and then the Women's Championships. Always a possibility. Those two will be together again next year. And all the details, of course, can always be found at pwba.com. And you can learn as a player. A lot of questions coming in. How do I compete in one of these events? Well, first thing I would say is make sure to register early, as events are filling up throughout the schedule, and membership opportunities out there. Just check the site, all the details, and any questions. Damon and Jason Thomas very available for
We are.
getting
We only
everybody
sleep 4 hours
situated.
a night, so as long as you contact us between, if you don't contact us between midnight and 4, we'll get back to you right away.
Well, we are settled in here for game number 3 of 6. And game 2 scores already up. So whoever's doing the scoring today, on
We
top of
got we
things.
got a crack team.
What a crew.
We got
Jazzy
Kathy
Tan.
Wadka and Damon, and the scorekeepers here. It's like a military operation.
Well,
it's impressive.
Very well run, very quick. Scores are up. Jazzy Tan leading the way at plus 89 through 2. Missy Parkins, she was the early leader. Fell off a little bit, plus 76. Linda Barnes, we had her on our featured pair. She is third at plus 59. And then the international players. Jason, I'm going to let you take that one.
Wei Fen Nu
There you are.
from Singapore.
Plus 56. Liz Johnson, plus 41. Clara Guerrero in 6th at plus 36. So the cut line right now, plus 10. Deandra Asbady, 2012 USBC Queens champion. And the other number that everybody will be looking at too is that number 32 to get a check right now. A three-way tie for 31st at minus 16.
Yeah, Kelly Kulik in there, surprisingly.
So all three of those players are rolling through our featured pairs early on. Nishka Cardona, Ashley Rucker, and Kelly Kulik, all three very successful collegiately, and now chasing their dreams here on the PWBA Tour. Minus 16. So you talked about this week's pattern, 40 feet. A little different part of the lane coming into play compared to last week's, was it 44 foot?
Yes.
So players migrating a little bit closer to the outside part of the lane, I would think, or at least to the track area, the 10-12 range at the arrows, and going to creep left, I would think, as the lanes start to break down. But
Absolutely. I think with that extra 4 feet of back end, they'll be able to take advantage of them a little more from a carry standpoint, late in the block. Last week they were forced pretty deep pretty early and weren't quite able to take advantage of it from a carry standpoint once the lanes opened up a little bit. We did have some good scores. Christina Wendell put up some good numbers, averaged over 230 for qualifying, and as I mentioned, Alicia Current averaged almost 230 for her second block of qualifying. But I imagine once these ones open up a little bit, you'll see the scores jump. But again, they're right where they should be. I mean, got to make shots. You got to make your spares. You just got a friend request from Phil Brylow. Wow, nice.
Yes.
Do you guys want us to print a standing sheet or you want to
Yes.
post it out?
Yes.
Sure.
all right, so our tournament director, James Rocco, on top of things. even offering to bring score sheets over to the table here. So,
I should have let you answer because I'm not going to be here much longer. So,
your answer was good. Technology is working very well. The score is being updated almost instantly. The standings, at least, live scoring, very cool. Folks at home are able to follow their favorite players. They just have to get on there and figure out where they are with the lane skipping. You mentioned it was a little crazy, skipping 3, skipping 2, skipping 1. So just take a look, pwba.com/live, live scoring link. It's all there for you at your fingertips. Very cool compared to what it probably was like in 2003 when.
No, you had to wait for the newspaper to come out the next day.
So different. Here we are, live on Extra
You had
Frame.
to dial up your internet to just at the end of the day to get the results. Kelly Kulik is struggling. I know she's not feeling well. She bowled the tournament in Japan last week and bowled well, finished 4th. But she's got a little bit of jet lag, actually a lot of bit of jet lag, and she's also got a pretty bad sinus infection today. So she's not feeling 100%, and off to a rough start here with 16 under going into this game. And,
she was a trooper for us yesterday, being on TV and talking up to PWBA. That's what she does, and you couldn't even tell on TV.
Yeah.
And then for her, watching her in some of these long qualifying blocks too, when the rest of the field, they like to play right, open the lanes up a little bit. That's when Kelly shines. She can move left and really boom it to the dry.
Right.
So I guess the big question out there, we've talked about the lane pattern, 40 feet. Is there going to be a re-oil during the break is what some folks are curious to as well.
There will be. That we'll be doing that every week. Re-oil and new strategy coming out for, obviously Kelly's going to have to probably, I'm sure she'll figure something out here in the next couple of games and salvage this block. And then she will go, and she's already talking to her ball rep, Hank Boomershine, who's here this week. He's ball repping, VP of Sales and Marketing for Storm. But this week he's the ball rep. But already talking to Hank about what to do for the next few games, and I'm sure what probably some changes she'll want to make coming out early this afternoon. Ashley Galante on the left lane here. Ashley's another one of those really talented players that never got to bowl on tour, won a ton of junior and collegiate events, and she's done well in some of the the U.S. Opens and in the Queens events. She's had some decent finishes, but she's one of those girls that needs more lane time in tournaments, to hone her game and know when to use all the tools that she has in her bag that she can go to. And this tour is going to be great for her because once she figures out, her game, I mean, she doesn't know her game as well as, like a Kelly Kulik. Not many people do, but she just doesn't. She hasn't bowled enough to know what her game is. So
you mentioned the timing of it there too.
Yeah.
She missed the women's series because she was still in college, and
right.
So it's hard to get that momentum.
Right. She got a check last week. She had some issues with her fingers ripping open last week, so that held her back a little bit. But she still got a check, and she's going to get a lot of checks. But I wouldn't be surprised, before long that we see her, making TV shows in the winner's circle.
Well, she picked up a collegiate championship at Weber, and then one at Pikeville as well, I believe, was her 2 schools of choice. And some success. You mentioned the short duration events, but that's it. Then that week is over, and then the next one isn't for a few months. And so now going week to week, I think they'll build their stamina and their durability a little bit. When when you don't bowl for a while, there's some bowling muscles that you didn't even realize were there, and then you'll feel it for a couple of days after, and then of course bowling about 30 games in a couple of days like they did last week.
Yeah, it adds up. It adds up.
So a lot of great products out there, of course, to make that easier, and a lot of great industry support, I think, for the PWBA Tour too. And this is as real as it gets. Product registration, the whole deal, but a lot of support so far from the industry partners.
No, they've been fantastic. We obviously have to have product registration because it helps fund these kinds of things, and the goal for us really is to show the tremendous value associated with being involved with the PWBA. We've got signs and banners up all throughout the center to promote those brands. One of the things that's going to be cool about the PWBA is we are broadcasting on Extra Frame, but we also are going to post the rounds on Bowl TV, and the step ladder, which was posted a couple days ago from Sacramento, has thousands of views already. I'm going to go check right now to find out exactly, but that's a huge value to those product registered companies, because if you don't have TV, you want to have some other kind of media value, and for us it's the live stream, and being on Extra Frame I think elevates the PWBA Tour to the same level that the PBA Tour is at. And then with the ability to post things like the PBA does with their television shows, they're typically posted on the PBA's YouTube channel. We can do the same thing with Bowl TV, and get a lot of extra value there for the product registered companies. So, it's been really great so far. The support has been great. We've got 25 different brands in the program, and it's bringing in a lot of extra money for the ladies to bowl for. And about 6,000 views for that stepladder in a day and a half. So far so good.
Certainly great to see that, and I can tell you from getting the word out via social media today, we're doing everything. The PWBA, of course, has its own Facebook page and Twitter feed, and then USBC.
And also an Instagram account that was started last week. Yeah.
So every avenue being used to spread the news and the word, and make sure to get on all those pages, subscribe to Bowl TV, and get a subscription to Extra Frame. Find everything on Twitter and Facebook. Like every page you can. Share all of that. Share the posts and tweets and retweets. And
yeah, the other thing that's kind of cool about the ladies tour is that I don't know if you've noticed this, Matt, but women tend to use social networking a lot more than men in general. And so the advantage that we have is that we've got a whole field full of women. And, the other thing, too, is we've got a lot of local players in these fields. These fields are more like the makeup of, the Queen's tournament had been in the past, where, the majority of the field are local, good local players. And so when you have good local players, they're going to be out there tweeting and telling all their friends where they are, and that's going to bring people out to the bowling center. And we're almost full here. The bleachers are probably about 70% full already this morning, and I think by the time we have our second round tonight, this place is going to be packed, just because you've got 40 local women who are bowling in this event that are telling everybody to come out. So, that's the other advantage that I think we have, that the PBA doesn't have quite as much, because such a large percentage of the players in the field are not local players. They're typically touring players, and they're women, so they are much more active on social networking. So it's something we've got to take advantage of.
Well, I can tell you that having not been in Sacramento last week, but being on social media as we wrap things up at the USBC Open Championships, it was all PWBA all day long on every front. So very cool to see that,
yeah.
With all of the players doing their part, and the industry folks doing theirs, and the word was out. I think everybody, bowler or non-bowler, knew what was happening in Sacramento, but now they know what's happening in Lubbock at the 2015 PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. Game 3 coming to a close here.
You know, I mean, we saw this pair's been kind of a mixed bag, right? So far, we've had some high scores on it, and then we've had some low scores on it. And it seems to me like the high scores are coming from the players that are out to the right and throwing a little bit more aggressively. And, you know, we saw Kelly from in really struggle the first 5 frames, and then now she's seen it and moved out. You've got Ashley trying to play in, and maybe trying to play in a little too early. And I don't know if it's just this pair or if that's the way they're playing across the bowling center, but it just seems to me like Kelly's got the idea now. She moved back out to the right. Oh, there's another split. And she's trying to find it. But, you know, Missy's a little bit harder and straighter up the boards, and she's bowling well. And you've got Linda Barnes bowled well last game, going a little harder and straighter up the boards. I mean, you know, as a player who like Ashley and Kelly, who really succeed well when they can go left to right, sometimes it's hard to stay disciplined enough to stay out to the right until, you know, that middle part of the lane opens up for you. And then the other hand, you've got Carolyn, who's, you know, maybe one of the best ever. I mean, not maybe. She's definitely one of the best ever at playing out to the right and going up the lane, and she's playing in. So maybe she had some issues with her look from out early.
Well, I mean, 40 feet, and of course the experts will tell you, and I think I read about this or watched the video about it on the Bowling Academy, about the rule of 31. It's very general and very basic, but if you're going to attack a lane condition, you subtract 31 from the length of the pattern, and that tells you about where you want the ball to be at the break point. So, you know, 40 feet minus 31, you want the ball to be down around 9 or 10 or so. It's not a perfect science, of course, and you take a lot of things into consideration: lane surface, the type of oil, the type of machine, all different things. But that gives you a general starting point, I think, and then you base your moves off of the ball reaction. And you know, if the type of oil dictates that they're playing a little bit tighter, you know, you want a little straighter line to the pocket, you know, you make your moves off of that. And right now we're seeing some struggles here in Game 3. 156, 193.
You know, it's just, sometimes it's very hard as a player to, especially when they're tough, you know, you just got to make a decision sometimes. Here's where I'm going to play, and then I'm going to chase it. And if you never find where you want to play at the beginning, you never get your bearings, and that's when you can have a really tough day. You know, you got to get your bearings first, and then from there you make adjustments.
Well, as you know, as a bowler, I mean, if things don't go well right away, or even in practice, you know, you're kind of gasping for air a little bit, and you're playing the game where you're pulling every ball out of the bag and trying different things, and sometimes digging yourself out of a hole is a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, and you know, I think there's a little bit of a desperation mentality, I think, for a lot of the ladies, because they are so used to not having tournaments to bowl. A lot of times they're very impatient about, you know, letting the condition come to them. You know, they're just out there from the beginning looking for a 250 reaction. And, you know, sometimes it's better to just say, look, the scoring pace is, you know, you saw Missy shoot 279 in the first game, but the cut was 210, you know, so all I need to do here is just shoot 2 O's, and then so I'm gonna pick a place on the lane to play. I'm gonna make great shots. I'm gonna grind it out. I'm gonna make my spares, and then they're gonna open up, and I'm gonna get my score. And you can't do that if you're out there searching for, you know, a line that gives you 3 boards, you know, to hit with good carry and a 250 reaction. So you know, it's just hard to be disciplined sometimes, and you know, Kelly Kulik is probably the most disciplined player in the history of women's bowling, and she's struggling with it right now. So, you know, that's why, you know, you put out a tough pattern. You know, you have, it challenges you, and that's what you want to see at the highest level of the sport.
Well, some of these players definitely looking challenged as they move now from Game 3 to Game 4. We're watching the final part of Game 3 on our featured pair. We are behind lanes 17, 18, 19, and 20 here at South Plains Lanes. Live coverage, PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. So I'm trying my best today to say PWBA every time.
Yeah.
And in extra frame and not full TV, all the things we're used to.
Yeah.
There's just so many different things. And Lucas Wiseman, of course, makes every effort to allow me to have something new to figure out. Every time I come back from the Open Championships, I feel like I was gone in the time machine forever. And I come back and the whole world of technology has changed, and you know, new gadgets and software, and that's what he does. He tries things and tinkers and looks for the next thing to stay on the cutting edge, and then I get to come home and play catch up for a while, and then not do it for 5 months and forget how to do everything. But I think so far so good. So hope everybody's enjoying the live coverage here on Extra Frame of the PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. So Kelly and company are going to finish up game number 3 here. Kelly can double in the 10th here to get into the 160s, so she was the number, or at least tied for it, after 2. She's going to have some work to do, but a long way to go. This is game 4 coming up of 6. Then we'll take a short break and 6 more games this afternoon before we get down to our top 16 for match play tomorrow. So a lot happening, a lot of games being bowled. 32 will take home prize checks at least 4 times their entry fee. So very cool. Anytime you can go to an event and get that kind of money, it's usually first or second place money. and here we are. So just a very cool opportunity, and then still plenty of time to get home and get to work on Monday.
Yeah, and you guys are going to be in for a treat next game. You get to watch Brittany Hamilton. I was shocked that she missed a check last week. That's one thing, though, that's interesting is that she said she missed 7 single pin spares last week. She missed a check by 2 pins. And, you know, as this goes on, you're going to realize you just can't afford to do that, you know, and Brittany Hamilton is going to be a star out here. You know, there's no doubt about that. But, you know, she just wasn't used to it going out that first week and kind of took it for granted. And she said, you know what, I need to.
Which is interesting because Brittany kind of grew up in the sport bowling generation where that's all they faced, you know, in high school and junior gold, and then junior Team USA, and then in college. It's been kind of taught to them from a very young age at the early 2000s, you know, that generation, and that's all they've bowled on almost. There's some who don't bowl house shot leagues. They don't bowl on house shots unless it's for an event. They know what's going on. They know how to make the shots and make their spares, and but still also a lot of nerves and so much potential and so much money on the line. It's not just 1 week and then go home to school or your real job. This is substantial out here, and I could imagine what it's like going out on the tour life. I know, talking to a good friend, Jason Couch, even about the start of his career, and he was minutes away from quitting back in 1992, I believe it was. He called home.
Yeah,
I
I remember that
he was
story.
coming home. I got to write that for the PBA 50 Greatest Players book. It's funny though that his parents told him, "Man up, dude. Get out there.
You're not coming home, buddy."
And chase it. And of course, he went on to have a fantastic career. But
I think he made the show that next week, didn't he?
It's just such a great story that you know, about perseverance and a lot of the journeymen out there. You know, the Jack Jureks and there's so many guys that just chased it for so long and had, you know, Ryan Schaefer's. They had moderate success, and you know, they just have that fire, and we've got a whole nother generation of it.
Well, Matt, I think I'm going to go do some real work here. Is that okay with you?
That's all right. And there's no chat room to ask if it's okay with the fans. 'Cause,
Okay.
They wouldn't let you leave the entire weekend.
I'll go
but,
find you another guest, though. I promise.
Certainly appreciate you taking some time to join us here in between your USBC video and PWBA Director of Operations responsibilities. Folks, you had the pleasure of listening to the sweet sounds of Jason Thomas, formerly known as the bowling guy.
I appreciate the chance. It was fun being on Extra Frame, and hope you guys all enjoyed the tournament this week.
All right, so if you guys have any questions about the PWBA Tour, Jason's probably your guy, but go to pwba.com to find the appropriate avenues for reaching out. I bet you a lot of your questions can be answered on the website. Otherwise, Jason's available nearly 20 hours a day. So, all right, sir. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll have you on again later in the week. And right now, we will ease into game number 4 of this 6-game block here. First qualifying squad at the PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. Some very familiar names on our featured pair. We'll start on the right-hand side here, lanes 19 and 20. Brooke Bauer stepping up on lane 20. She recently found her way to the top spot on the leaderboards at the USBC Women's Championships. And she's in position to take home a WC title and a very fancy diamond trophy for her diamond singles success just out of college and already making a name for herself. Of course, the rest of this pair, Heather D'Erico, former collegiate standout and a personal trainer, as I understand it. And you'll see when she turns around her jersey. Brandy Sanderson, top left-hander out here. And of course, Clara Guerrero, we know her, PBA regional champion and international bowling sensation. All right, and there's Heather's jersey, Bullfit. You can visit her, and she's out there getting bowlers in shape, and there's a lot of players out here working very hard at the gym and on the lanes to survive the grueling formats. Again, they'll bowl 12 games of qualifying today with a very short break in between. They already had a practice session this morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then tomorrow the top 16 will bowl 16 games of round-robin match play before the step ladder finals. So definitely time to work on that endurance. Jason Thomas mentioned Ashley Galante's fingers tearing open, and just things these players aren't quite used to, bowling much shorter duration events. If you're just joining us, this is Matt Canizar. We're live here on Extra Frame. Some great coverage here. Live scoring available. Go to pwba.com/live or just pwba.com. All of your many questions can be answered there. Lane condition for this week also posted. Upcoming schedule. Next week, the PWBA Wichita Open, followed by the PWBA Striking Against Breast Cancer Mixed Doubles, otherwise known as the Lucy. That will be down in Houston, Texas. So many great events coming up to the exciting conclusion. We'll have the Bullmore AMF US Women's Open over Labor Day weekend. And then a qualifying event, PWBA Tour Championship, presented by GoBowling.com. And that will feature the top players from this 2015 PWBA season. Again, all details available on PWBA.com. And you can find regular updates and information on Twitter at PWBA Tour or on the official Facebook page. If you have a favorite player at this week's event, follow them as they make their way through the bowling center. And we'll get you a scoring update here as soon as that's posted. Some folks just got done with game number 3, but they're pretty on top of things here, so we'll have that for you in just a minute. Up on our other featured pair right now, Brittany Hamilton and Shannon Pluhowski, two very familiar names, both internationally and collegiately, both members of Team USA. A lot of great questions coming in to me personally via email, text message, social media, so we appreciate it. And all of the support for these ladies. All right, through 3 games here at the PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. Jazreel Tan from Singapore still on top, plus 112, followed by Clara Guerrero. She's on our featured pair right now at plus 84. Missy Parkin, plus 72. She started with 279, so she's grinding out the last 2 games and keeping herself in it here. Elise Bolton, former junior Team USA member, plus 61. And in 5th place, the senior, the Hall of Famer, 3-time runner-up at the USBC Senior Queens, Tish Johnson at plus 59. So a very star-studded crew here in the top 10. 6th place, Hall of Famer Linda Barnes. Another left-hander in 7th place, Brandy Silva from Fort Worth, Texas at plus 48. Singapore well represented here. 8th place, Hugh Fen New, plus 37. Lindsay Boomershine in 9th at plus 35. And Maria Jose Rodriguez at plus 32. She's tied with Daphne Tan from Singapore. So good international representation in our top 10. The cut right now, Shayna Ung, also from Singapore, at plus 18. Again, the top 16 advance to match play tomorrow. And in the final cash spot right now, a tie for 31st, Josie Ernest and Kimmy Davidson. Two recent collegiate standouts. They are tied at minus 25. A 191.67 average right now to get a check here at this week's event. So, any questions about the lane condition, you can find the graph at pwba.com. 40 feet this week. Very similar to the WTBA Athens pattern. So down on lanes 35 and 36 if you'd like to follow along at home. Last week's runner-up, Christina Wendell. Looks like she has the front 8. And we'll see where she is in the standings here through 3 games. A little bit of a slow start on our featured pair. She's down in 57th place at minus 70. So she'll get herself right back into the number. We talked about that earlier. How quickly the momentum can change here. You know, the lanes are fresh for every squad. So sometimes you get off to a slow start, but with 6 games per block, plenty of time to get something going. Some players like the fresh, some like the lanes to open up a little bit. And Wendell having a nice go at it here. Looks like she got an 8 spare in the 9th frame, but still 270 out there. She can get back to plus. And that'll put her around the top 20. So plenty of time to make a move. So we've hit the halfway point here of game number 4. Things moving along. We got started at 11 a.m. Take a look at the rest of the schedule for today. Second round of qualifying will be at 4 p.m. local time, 5 p.m. Eastern. Again, we're here at South Plains Lanes in Lubbock, Texas. The second official week and third event of the 2015 PWBA Tour. Top 16 will advance to round robin match play starting at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern. On our featured pair right now, Claire Guerrero, Colombian Sensation in second place right now at plus 84. Yet to double here in game 4. The lefty Sanderson, minus 108 through 3. She's down. In 71st place. I just had a quick word with the tournament director, Damon Sirocco. Standings have Brandy Sanderson listed as a senior, and she is many, many years from being a senior player. However, extra checks available, so maybe not such a bad thing. .74 players in the field this week. 32 will get checks, so I'll take that ratio any weekend of the year. Longtime Team USA member Shani Plahowski crushing the pocket this game, and a lot of nines to show for it. No doubt she's very excited about living this dream. Right now she's in 18th place at plus 6, trying to find her way into the top 16 again. She's won just about everything there is to win. Samantha Shadden had a nice week last week. They continue that momentum. right, so a 3-bagger for Brooke Bauer. Again, found herself to the top of the standings at the USBC Women's Championships this year. Pretty awesome accomplishment to start her young career. Again, so far through 3 games, tournament leader, Jazriel Tan. Plus 112, 237 average. Terrible break there for Clara, the 7-10. Couple splits this game. She was right behind Jazzy at plus 84. Great shot there by the southpaw Sanderson. Trying to get back on track after that missed single pin. There, almost gets the 10 to bounce out. It was up in the air. But she'll have an open frame there in the 7th. Our other pair, 17 and 18. Moving right along. About to wrap up the 9th frame. Ball change for Claire. She goes high, leaves a 3-pin. Bauer stepping up, trying to make it 4 in a row here. Yes, she does. Trying to find her in the standings here on PWBA.com. Down in 56th place at minus 67, so climbing her way up here as well. Appreciate everybody joining our live coverage here on Extra Frame. PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. Game 4 of 6 coming to a close here. Brittany Hamilton and Shannon Pluhowski are going to wrap things up on 17 and 18. We'll have a recap of today's action up on PWBA.com later tonight. You can also find it on Bowl.com and all throughout the social media avenues. this week's lane condition, 40 foot. And using Kegel Ice Oil. So Kegel Ice debuted in 2013, I believe, and the idea was for it to hold up a little bit longer, transition less, and the ice plays pretty slick. On the other side of that spectrum, Fire, which, similar tendencies, but hooks a little bit more than the ice does. And the lane condition put out by the top of the line Kegel Flex Lane Machine. Howski, clean game, full of 9s, 216. Hamilton finishes with 189. Clara almost 7-10s again on lane 19 with a different ball. It was just the 10. Definitely a bit of a roller coaster as the lanes transition here. As we get game 5 underway, perhaps we'll see if we can round up another guest to come on and chat with us for the final game or two. Certainly enough folks around. The bleachers full of bowling fans. Lubbock, Texas, very supportive of this event, and the PBA recently here with a huge event won by EJ Tackett. Brooke Bowers' strength comes to an end at 4. Try to run down the 610 here momentarily as we get ready for the final frame on lane 19 and 20 here, South Plains Lanes. All right, so one pair done. Other pair getting ready for game at number 5 already. Dierko and Sanderson trying to wrap things up here. All right, max score here. Dierko 200. Sanderson 191. All right, both players strike on the fill. So we got some more stars headed this way for game number 5. Team USA member Sarah Loker.
It's a good backboard. Probably wouldn't be first.
All right, so a rough game 4 here for Clara. She was second at plus 84 coming into game number 4. Still shoot 184 this game. Gets the first one. Just made that ball change in the 8th frame. Clara gets the double, so try something different on the fill ball. Brooke Bauer finishes with 212. Our other featured pair already into game number 5. Megan Kelly made the top 16 last week. Familiar face, Katie Jensen, formerly Katie Boroff. Alicia Herder from Colorado. Courtney Bolin from nearby Katy, Texas. Bowlers coming from all over. To find success here on the PWBA Tour. Get the scoreboard set here. Looks like Michelle Secors again, a standout at Sam Houston State. Jeannie Franklin, you might know her from the Bowling News here in Texas. Team USA member Sarah Loker. Potentially only 3 on this pair, so they should get caught up pretty quick. And they will waste no time getting underway. Looks like everybody's done with game 4, so we'll have those scores for you in just a minute. Right now, you're watching live coverage here on Extra Frame, PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. Let's get settled in for game number 5 of 6. So game number 5 here in Lubbock. South Plains Lanes moving right along. Still waiting on the game 4 update. Should have that here shortly. Our featured pair, Courtney Bolin, had the front 3. Use a 4-pin. Our tournament leader through 3 games, Jazreel Tan from Singapore, plus 112. A lot of separation from first to 32nd, the final check, so very cool that almost half of the field will take home a prize check here. 74 entries, 32 checks up for grabs. If you'd like to see how last week's event turned out, the PWBA Storm Sacramento Open, you can check out archived coverage on Bowl TV. Lucas Wiseman got that up this week. Alicia Current taking home her first professional title with a win over Christina Wendell. Current starting the PWBA Tour off with a $12,000 prize check. This week's winner scheduled to take home at least $10,000. These prize funds are guaranteed, folks. So if you're interested in bowling a PWBA Tour event, check out pwba.com for more information. Get out here. 32 checks every single week, guaranteed, a minimum of $1,200. Could be more, but at least $1,200 for the final check. Not a bad deal. This week, 74 entries. Most events, they start at 64. Some have already been expanded to up to 80 players, depending on the size of the venue. Come on out, get a share of the prize money. Entry details available at pwba.com. Format, all the registered products, points lists, prize funds, rules, you name it, it is all there. All right, looks like we have scores through 4 games here again. We're pulling 2 6-game blocks today. The top 16 will advance to match play tomorrow. The top 32 will take home prize money. And Jazreel Tan of Singapore maintaining her lead, plus 127. Missy Parkin jumps back into second place at plus 98. USBC and PWBA Hall of Famer Tish Johnson in third place at plus 94. Claire Guerrero in fourth now at plus 68 after a rough game 4. And the Hall of Famer Linda Barnes rounding out the top 5 at plus 67. Cut line right now, Liz Johnson plus 12. She won the USBC Queens earlier this year. And just 2 pins back on our featured pair, Team USA member Sarah Locher trying to get herself into the top 16. Great shot there by Michelle Secors. She's got the front 5 here. Live on Extra Frame. The cash number right now, Jen Higgins. We saw her on a couple Queens TV shows in recent years, former Team USA member. She's at minus 23 in 32nd place. Still a very long way to go. 2 more games here, followed by another 6-game block this afternoon. So thank you for joining us here on Extra Frame. Don't go anywhere. Tell all your friends. We've got wire-to-wire coverage of the PWBA Lubbock Sports Open. So Locher with her first strike here in game number 5. Again, she is 2 pins out of the cut right now at plus 10. A lot of talented players knocking on the door, trying to get in. Here's Secors up on lane 20, looking to make it the front 6. And she does. Terrific shot. Looks like she's migrated right a little bit here on this 40-foot pattern and having a terrific ball reaction. Coming into this game, 47th at minus 48. So about 25 pins out of the cash number. And getting comfortable here in game number 5. Locher with the double. So 4 players in the top 10 right now from Singapore PWBA Tour. Very international. A lot of these players have competed collegiately here in the United States and travel back and forth representing their various countries on the lanes at international events. Many finding home here in the U.S. as well. Sticking around, Maria Jose Rodriguez, Claire Guerrero, both living in Texas. Rocio Strepo in Ohio. Secors now with the front 7 here. well on her way into the top 32 here. Some players already getting done with game number 5. If you have a favorite, check out pwba.com/live and you can see a link to live scoring. You can pick any lane in the house, follow your players as they cross this 40-lane bowling center here, South Plains Lanes. Feel free to reach out with any questions over the next couple days. You can find me on Facebook at USBC Matt, on Twitter, and then on Facebook, Matt Canizaro USBC. I want to say hello and thank you to everybody joining us today on Extra Frame. A little bit different than Bold TV. We don't have the chat room on here to see who's lurking around and asking questions and chatting and helping each other out, sharing information. There's plenty of other ways to do that via social media. But we do appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, and we'll be here all event long. Great shot there on lane 17 by Megan Kelly. Saw her in the top 16 last week and making moves here in Lubbock. Right now in 34th place at -27. 240 still out there for her. Secors now at the front 8. Right here on our live stream pair, tell everybody it's getting exciting and it's so early. It's game 5 of 12 today, 16 more tomorrow than the step ladder. If you're a bowling fan, this is where it's at. Alicia Heriter with a nice shot there on 17. Megan Kelly looking for 3 in a row here. Courtney Bolin trying to bounce back. She had a nice start here. Nine in a row for Secors. That shot not her best. She's laughing here in the background. Here comes Jason Thomas, the Director of Operations here. Also the USBC video guy, busting out the real camera for the front nine here. C-Course trying to make some magic here in game number 5, live on Extra Frame. Other pair, 17 and 18, wrapping up here. We're in the 10th frame. Katie Jensen and Herder going to be in the 180s. So 194 for Katie Jensen. Not sure what in the world I was looking at. I don't think I saw that first strike in the 10th. Herder 189. Sarah Loker 190. So she was plus 10, now even. She was just outside the top 16 coming into this game. All right, so here it is, folks. The moment you've all been waiting for the last few minutes. Michelle C-Course. She's going to step up on lane 20. She's got the front nine here. We saw 279 earlier on this pair from Missy Parker, 257 from Linda Barnes. So some big scores here. C-Course is going to step off and reset. Should be on the right of your screen there. Big moment here. Of course, she's thrown the big shots before on the big stage. Sam Houston State. Now, PWBA Tour, Lubbock Sports Open, front nine, Michelle C-Course. Good shot there, but the 10 won't go. She gave it a run. Jason Thomas gonna put the camera away. Michelle will shoot the spare. Our other pair, Boland finishes with 211. Nice finish there. Strong start, strong finish. Megan Kelly, 221. So she'll make a move in the standings. C-Course easily plus here. Misses the spare though. Gives away 12 pins there. She'll be plus and should be at least around the top 16 here with one game to go in this opening squad. Our final game just about ready to get underway. Then we'll take a short break and we'll have round 2 this afternoon.
No texting while you're listening.
All right, so we'll wait for our final group of players. 17-18 already getting underway. All right, on this pair so far, we've got Stevie Morse. Her sister, Nikki, actually works in the research department at USBC. And we've got Dawn Horton. Josie Ernest, Team USA member. Collegiate standout at Vanderbilt. And our first look at Singapore's Hugh Fen-Nu. All right, again, our tournament leader through 4 games. Jazreal Tan plus 127. As soon as we get an update after 5, we'll let you know. You can check out PWBA.com for all the great information about this event and the upcoming schedule. Also a recap of last week's event in Sacramento. All right, so final game underway on both pairs here. Stepping up right now on lane 20, Jackie Carbonetto and Karen Boyd. Karen, familiar face from the original PWBA tour. She was out there, formerly known as Karen Stroud. She is now from the South Florida area. Glad to see her back out here. We see her at the Queens and all the other events, and I'm sure very welcomed opportunity for her to come out and do it all again. Also on this pair, Stephanie Johnson. She was caught up in that transition period where she was just going through college when the tour went away, and she has found a very successful career in various roles in the bowling industry. Formerly Stephanie Nation, now married to past PBA Rookie of the Year, Chris Johnson. And they've created the next generation of bowlers in Little Levi. So perhaps Chris tuned in right now, watching his wife try to bring home top prize here in Lubbock, at least $10,000. Last week's winner, Alicia Current, took home $12,000. Here's a look at Liz Johnson, no relation. Liz, a USBC Hall of Famer as of this April. Right after that, she took home USBC Queens title, so far from done despite already being in the Hall of Fame, just a youngster. She was less than a decade into her pro career when the tour went under, or closed its doors, or whatever terminology you'd like to use. And she decided to continue her dream alongside the men in the PBA, collected some regional titles and success, and made a couple of PBA TV shows, and has been traveling the world, bowling everywhere she can. Go to pwba.com/live. You also see a link to the live scoring if you have a favorite player you'd like to follow through the venue during the rest of today. Still waiting on the Game 5 update. All right, so first strike here in game number 6 for Horton. Not a lot of striking happening late here in this first block of qualifying. 40-foot lane condition. You can see the graph, PWBA.com. Click on the details for this week's Lubbock Sports Open. So after this final game, we will get reset here and get ready for our second qualifying block. That will begin at 4 p.m. local time, 5 p.m. Eastern. Right now it's about 2:10, so we'll have almost a 2-hour break in there, and we'll come back on and do it all over again for 6 more games. Then we'll cut the field down from 74 to the top 16 for tomorrow's round robin match play. And of course the exciting conclusion stepladder finals, all brought to you live here on Extra Frame. This is Matt Canizaro. On my way home from the USBC Open Championships in El Paso. Had a great run there. Women's Championships in Reno just wrapped up as well. And now it's all about the PWBA for the rest of the summer. So Liz Johnson looking for her first strike here in game number 6. She's been around the pocket the last couple shots. Usually doesn't stray far from there. Just a matter of the pins cooperating, and that time they do. Almost leaves a high flush 7. She's on the board here. Great shot there by Josie Ernest. Def goes a little bit high, leaves just the 9-pin. Nice break. Could have been the 4-9. Or worse. This is game 6 of 6. Still waiting on the update. Looks like Jazzy Tan on top at plus 150. Missy Park in second at plus 116. Daphne Tan plus 74. Claire Guerrero plus 65. Elise Bolton plus 64. It's not updated online, but there's a screen here in the venue. '16th place right now at Ty, plus 14. Stephanie Johnson in 19th at plus 7. Christina Wendell, last week's runner-up, also at plus 7, working her way back up from a slow start. And the number right now for the top 32, there's a tie, Brianna Caldwell and Brandy Silva at minus 19. So final check right now, after 5, minus 19. So Jazzy Tan, former Wichita State standout, showing everybody how to do it here in Lubbock at plus 150 on top of the standings. So there's your recap. It also is updated online now. That's a 230 average for Jazreel. Again, Stephanie Johnson tied for 19th at plus 7. Jackie Carbonetto is 18th at plus 8. Liz Johnson down in 24th place at plus 3, so standings very tight here. Michelle Secours, we saw her here live on Extra Frame, had the front 9, finished with 267. She has jumped to 15th place at plus 19. Josie Ernest is 12th at plus 30. Horton and Morris with a little bit more work to do in block number 2. Hugh Fenn-New, 13th at plus 23. And Karen Boyd also with a little bit of work ahead of her. She is down in 59th place at minus 97. So after this game, we will go offline and get ready, get reset for round 2. Catch up with Jazreel. If you missed any of last week's action, you can find that on Bowl TV. If you watched it live as a member of Extra Frame, thank you. There's the PBA's live streaming channel. Pretty awesome partnership between all of the organizations, really. BPAA and USBC coming together to get this PWBA thing back on the road. And PBA stepping up Having some regional events for the ladies. Having some PWBA points lists and such. And, of course, the use of extra frame. So all the bowling world coming together for a good cause. Women's bowling is back. Today's broadcast will be archived on Extra Frame, and later in the week, Lucas Wiseman will get it up on Bowl TV as well. But if you're just dropping in, still plenty of bowling to go over the next 30 hours or so. Remember to find us on Facebook and Twitter so you know what's the what, when the next round is starting. Do appreciate all the support, everybody tuning in and reaching out, saying hello. Stephanie Johnson fighting her way just outside of the top 16. Throwing pins around, can't get the 10 to go. She's at +7, the number right now, +14. Definitely giving herself a chance here at the halfway point. Carbonetto 1 pin ahead of her. Trying to finish strong here. It's a nice break as the 4 rolls forward. Saw a few players get off to a strong start and struggle later in the block. Others have gone the other way. Struggled on the fresh and put up some big numbers as the lanes transition. Got 4 in a pair across the house, 1 and 2 out of play. So we're using 3 to 40 here at South Plains Lanes. Very comfortable pace of play, it looks like. About 3.5 hours will be the mark for wrapping up these 6 games. Next squad starts at 4 p.m. We'll have that concluded about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then we'll have the announcement for the top 16. We'll come back tomorrow for match play, round robin, 16 games, 2 8-game blocks, all brought to you live here on Extra Frame. And we'll have a pro-am later tonight, 8 p.m. local time. Going to be a packed house. Tenth frame happening on 17 and 18 right now. Hugh Fenn New hanging around the top 16. 13th place at plus 23. A couple of miscues here, but a late 3-bagger gets her to 204 and plus 27 overall. Should be a top 20 score after this opening block. Horton can strike on the fill here for 2-0. 2. Tenth frame about to get started here with Karen Boyd on lane 20 and Stephanie Johnson on 19. Johnson can max at 226. That would be a nice surge. Currently at plus 7. Johnson unable to capitalize on that strike in the 9th. Josie Ernest in the same position. She gets the strike for the double. She can max at 222. Josie 12th at plus 30 with 1 to go. And Josie doubles in the 10th, so she'll be in the 220s with good count here on the fill. Stephanie Johnson, 206 possibility. Karen Boyd finishes with 179.
Let me get you one.
Stephanie finishes 205. She'll be at plus 12. Right now, 16th place plus 14. Josie finishes at 222. Should be plus 52. Should put her in the top 10 at the halfway point. Liz Johnson gets the first hit in the 10th. She's looking to stay plus here after 6, plus 3. Coming to this game, double here puts her in the 200s.
I don't know if you're talking about it 4 o'clock. I'm not sure.
Carbonetto will slip back into the red here. She was plus 8 coming into the final game. Liz gets the 4 to go.
Gone.
Jackie finishes at 172. She'll be minus 20 as we head to the break here in the honors of the final shot here on this morning's squad. Belong to Liz Johnson, 2015 USBC Queens champion and recent Hall of Famer. All right, there it is. Final shot. Can't get the 10 to go. She finishes with 203. She'll be plus 6, so in good position, right around the top 20, heading into this afternoon's second squad. That is going to do it for coverage from this opening round. We'll be back at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern with the second 6 games of qualifying. Thanks for joining us here on Extra Frame. We look forward to having you the rest of the way here at the 2015 PWBA Lubbock Sports Open here at South Plains Lanes. That's the news for now, and we'll see you on the lanes.